Spoiler alert, everybody. This is your warning. There is going to be some major spoilers all up in this episode because Video Game Bang just got back from our 7:30 showing here on Thursday, December 17th of Star Wars: The Force Awakens. And I got my Star Wars specialist on the show. I got the real David Webb. I have Eddie Villanueva, and joining the show, it's an honor to have him, Derek Voss, my Star Wars guru. This guy knows it all. And we're going to be talking about the new movie we all just witnessed. And it's loaded with spoilers. Nothing is being held back. And this is for people who have seen the film or don't plan on ever seeing the film. I must warn you, we filmed this very late, so we're a little tired. We may get off track just a little tiny bit, but stay with us. I think you're going to enjoy it. And did I mention there were spoilers? Please, I do not want to be that guy who spoils Star Wars for you guys. So if you don't want Star Wars spoiled, save this episode for later. Listen to it after you've seen the movie. You've been warned. We mention it also when we get into the show. Spoilers. This is a special bonus episode. It's just like a little extra to say thank you to the people. And a lot came out of it. I don't even want to say if the movie's good because that'd be a spoiler. So spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. Everything after the theme song is going to be a spoiler. I can't say it enough. I'm going to do it just for the next 30 seconds. Spoiler. Spoiler. Do not listen past the intro unless you want spoilers. That's just the way it is. Spoiler alert. Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. I don't want to be the person who ruined your Star Wars experience. So this is your last chance. Last chance to save the podcast for later because it's going down. Thank you. I hope you enjoy this spoiler episode of Video Game Bang.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Video Game Bang. Video Game Bang. Your weekly source for all things video game. Featuring your fearless hosts, Corey Vincent.
I'm pretty much Microsoft and Marvel. The cans are on. It's when ish gets real. People get shot during the day?
And Aaron Carter.
Buy the armor, I equip it, and it's like pink thong. The guy that delivers vending machine items in my job. He can play the right.
Fill up your Mountain Dew and grab your Doritos. It's time for Video Game Bang.
What's up, Mandalorians? No, there's no Mandalorian. Okay, well, basically, if you listen to the intro, you'll know what's going down. This is Video Game Bang, and it's a special bonus episode where we are talking about all things Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
The Force Awakens.
Now, I'm here with a special panel of Star Wars enthusiasts and specialists, and whatever you want to call us, starting working my way over from the left. You know him, you love him, the real David Webb, everybody.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
And then also joining on the table, you know him. I don't know if you love him, but he's here, Eddie Villanueva.
How's it going, everybody?
Sitting in Aaron's chair. I don't know how he's going to take to that.
Aaron's not here. This is his first episode missing it.
Wow, you sound like the devil. When
Do
Aaron
I?
doesn't know, doesn't hurt him.
That's right.
And then joining us, we needed someone to bring some Star Wars specialty and some sanity to the group. He's been on the show before. One of my best friends from a long time ago, Derek Voss.
How's it going?
Good. Oh, you're the only one who ever asked that.
It's really sad that I'm the one that brings the sanity.
Yeah, well, you are the Star Wars guru for me. How many times do you think you've seen it? The Star Wars saga.
I don't even know. Many, many times.
Many, many times.
Many times.
Because I think half the times I've seen it have been with you, and I've seen it a lot. Because your father had built this amazing theater room, and we would just go in there and watch Star Wars movies until we passed out.
Yep.
Mountain Dew, Wendy's.
It's the best way to do it.
Yeah. David Webb, how many times have you seen the series?
Countless times.
That's impossible. Impossible to do. But, all right, I get your point. Eddie Villanueva, how many times have you seen the film?
I've seen it a lot. I've seen the entire saga as well as the expanded universe and the books and the comics.
So, let's just get right out the gate and say it. What were your opinions, Eddie? Go.
I think David should go first on this one.
There's a lot to digest.
It really is.
We should set the scene. We went and saw a 7:30 showing. The time we're recording this is about 11. It is on Thursday. So how the hell did we see it on Thursday? I mean, we bought the tickets like normal. Why are they doing this?
It's like Black Friday. It's getting earlier and earlier. It used to be just midnight showings, and then it was like 9 o'clock showings, and then now it's like,
Well, a
you
lot
wanna
of
come
them
see it a week before.
A lot of them now, because I got a chance to talk to a couple of the managers of the theater that's right near us, and when I started realizing they were doing 7:30 showings over there, I started asking questions. I was like, maybe it's just a special occasion, but they said that they're starting to do that more often because of the fact that they've been getting the overall company has been hearing a lot of stuff from the parents who want to take their kids to the movies on the Thursday and still want to have their Fridays to do else. So they want them to cash in on the option of being able to be on the opening nights like that.
Well, I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. It's pretty awesome we got to see this film.
Yeah.
Derek, what did you think?
I thought it was pretty good. It wasn't to the level some people were saying. Empire was still number 1, but Force Awakens was number 2 in all of them. I don't quite feel that way.
What do you feel? How do you think? That's a good question. What do you think it ranks on the grand scheme? Is it better than the prequels?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's no question.
Even 3?
Oh God, yes.
3 was good.
No,
right?
three was still cheesy.
Yeah.
It was still too cheesy, and quite frankly, Hayden Christensen and all the whiny.
All the whining is just. I could have done without that.
You were supposed to be the chosen one. Yeah. So where do you think it stacks okay with the originals then?
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's either 3rd or 4th for me because A New
Yeah.
Hope could drop to 4 for me.
Yeah.
Really, A New Hope?
It's right there. It was good. It was really, really good. Part of it also didn't really feel like Star Wars to me.
Yeah.
I could definitely feel the lack of George Lucas. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing after these last movies.
You mean like in the wipe transitions and the stuff like
No,
that?
they still had a couple wipe transitions in there.
Yeah.
And as an aside, I will give J.J. Abrams some credit. I don't think I saw a single lens flare.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
we
just saying
did
the same
mention
thing.
that.
Yeah,
Right.
I was like, good job.
So, but it definitely felt like it wasn't Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like in the way that George Lucas, you can always there's a certain amount of camp to what he does that was not there. And again, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It just it didn't scream Star Wars to me, except for seeing the Millennium Falcon fly by and X-wings and stuff like that.
So we start the film off. This is full spoilers, everyone. So here's your chance. This is it. Final chance to get the hell out of this show. Delete it from your phone.
Exactly.
And then re-download it afterwards.
Or you could pause it now and just go see the movie and then listen to it afterwards.
That's a better idea. Do that.
There you go.
So who was the guy from the very beginning with the map? Do we know? Is he from the original trilogy?
You talking about
Poe
Poe?
Dameron?
Oh no,
the
the old
old
guy.
guy.
The old guy.
I was trying to figure that out.
I don't know who that was.
I don't
didn't
recognize him at all.
recognize anything, and I don't think they ever said his name either, so I'm not sure.
So we know he had a map
Mm-hmm.
that he had acquired somehow. And Poe, what was his last name?
Dameron?
And is he someone we should know from a lineage?
No.
Nothing that I'm aware of.
Yeah, nothing that we should know yet.
Did you want him to be an offshoot of Wedge?
It looks like that's exactly what he's going to be, but with some more focus to him,
Yeah.
which I'd be okay with,
Yeah, he was a really badass character.
He was.
for sure.
You know, one of my biggest disappointment in the movie. Let's just start with the disappointment because it's easier to go through, and it's
There you
not
go.
much at all. Captain Phasma was a punk.
Yeah.
Like, what a washed character.
For me, it wasn't even she wasn't a memorable character for me.
Not
I mean,
at
the
all.
movie could have been just as well without her.
I was expecting.
felt-
I was expecting a new Boba Fett, like someone who was going to be badass, have a scene where
Yeah.
she, smokes some fools or does something cool.
Shoots
But
a rocket out of her ass and does.
well, that's not
That's,
Star Wars.
That's the parody that we
Oh,
were
that was the
that's
parody we were
reading
just
about.
watching a second ago. Sorry.
Yeah, she didn't have much screen time. I don't think she shot once.
Mm-mm.
And then she got punked by
She gave orders, and then she took orders.
yeah,
That was it.
that was it.
It was pretty unimpressive, especially given the actress behind it.
Yeah, the actress behind it's fantastic. She's from Game of Thrones, and they kind of hyped it up. Like merchandising for Phasma was all over the place. I thought there would be some.
Well, and all the cosplay people were all excited about the shiny armor.
Yeah,
The
that's
chrome
true.
armor and everything.
It was very disappointing, and even the battle that Finn got in when he had the lightsaber for the first time, and he's going after the stormtrooper with the electrified rifle. It wasn't even her. That could have been a perfect opportunity.
Hell yeah!
That's true.
Instead of some random faceless white stormtrooper. It could have
Yeah.
been Phasma, and it would have been cool.
That's a great
They would have
point.
added a little bit
That's- yeah.
more. Yeah.
And then she ended up getting relegated to the compactor. That was a good little joke they threw in
Yeah.
That was
there.
great.
Mhm.
That's
So do we see her coming back? 'Cause I don't think they'd kill off that character quite like that.
Especially if somebody you have with that type of name and that much weight behind it, as far as being just recently in the latest Hunger Games installment and being in Game of Thrones, I don't think they would throw her away just that quickly. I think she's obvious because they didn't have any resolution for the end of her, character in the film. So
yeah.
there's a good chance that she's going to show up in the second one.
She showed a little bit of mercy at the beginning. She could have been a lot colder and more of a bitch to him when he had his helmet off, but it seemed like she was a little soft on him. So do you think maybe we see another someone pop out that's going to go to the hero's side maybe?
No.
No.
You think if she comes back she's going to be evil?
Yeah, I think her allegiance is still to the, to the, what is it?
First
First
order.
Order.
First Order. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to get used to. the
Yeah,
new
because I
terms.
want to say Empire and then, yeah.
Yeah, we got the First Order and
Resistance.
the Resistance instead of the Rebellion.
Which
Yeah.
is still technically
The Rebellion.
The
part
Rebellion.
of.
They're
It's still the rebellion, but it's part of the Republic in a way.
Right.
It's an offshoot. The Republic still exists.
And that's what Leia was in charge of. I kind of felt like overall as a movie, they took a lot of what was already laid out and then just rehashed it to a younger generation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of the Death Star, we had the Star Killer.
Yeah.
And so,
Which, fun fact, which was, that was going to be
Luke.
Luke's
Mhm.
original last name
Yep.
in the first film, A New Hope.
it's
it was-
such a badass name.
Yeah.
Why not?
Luke Starkiller.
Because Lucas thought it was too harsh for what the character was going to be.
I could see that.
I
But then
agree.
they took
Kind of
that
like
name,
it was Revenge of the Jedi initially, and then he was like, "Well, that's too harsh."
That's
so
too harsh.
Return.
right.
He's not going to come back and murder everyone. He's just going to return.
He's
I'm just gonna
he's
Come
return.
back,
back.
say hi.
Yeah.
What was cool is that actually what's going on with the Starkiller thing, they used that name for the Force Unleashed video games.
Mm-hmm.
That was the code name of the apprentice to Lord Vader. Fun fact.
Fun fact.
The more you know.
And knowledge is power.
So Death Star, it seems like every Star Wars franchise has to have a giant round spaceship that can blow up planets.
Not in 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, I was to say, what was 1, 2, and 3?
Okay, I guess.
It was Queen Amidala's hair.
I think overall they introduced a pretty badass new hero. I was very happy. If one thing was done better in this movie than any other movies, the establishment of Rey as a hero,
Yeah.
they made her so likable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like she was showing Han Solo how to run his own damn ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thought that was pretty unique, and I thought it was pretty interesting at that.
Because if you think about you looking at A New Hope, I mean, Luke bitched a lot about about this being thrusted on him. And I don't know, my uncle needs help on the farm, and it's like, dude, 10 minutes ago you were bitching
yeah.
about getting out of here, and here's your opportunity. Oh, I don't know, and she was just like, yeah, hell yeah, let's go, BB-8.
Kinda. There was that point where she wanted to go back and she ran away from the lightsaber, which
Yeah.
pushed me up. But luckily that was very short lived. It
Yeah.
wasn't like a huge, big, I can't do this. And then what's his name? Finn.
Finn.
Another really great character.
Yeah.
Comical as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too much for you?
That was a bit too much for me. Some of the comedy from him was a bit repetitive for me. It just kind of seemed like they were really trying to drill in the same joke over and over. Like, we get it. You're not like everybody else. You're,
Was it too much comedy for you? Because, I mean, that's one thing that pissed everyone off about the prequels is because they were just so campy. You had Jar Jar Binks and all the, shenanigans with him. Did you think there was too much comedy in the new one?
I don't think so. I mean, the movie overall was really intense, so you have to have some comic relief there. I'm glad that the comic relief did not come from a character like Jar Jar Binks or from R2-D2 yet again. Or look at like Attack of the Clones. C-3PO lets out 2 one-liners in a row during that battle with the Jedi.
Do you remember what those are?
I'm so beside myself right now, and this is such a drag.
See, that's why he's on the show, ladies and gentlemen.
That's
Watching him, I loved watching Star Wars with Derek because he can't help himself. He just knows every single word of all the movies, and then whenever I'd have theories, it's not like that blasted. What's his name? Where are you? That
A wedge?
yeah, no, not Wedge.
Oh, Biggs.
Biggs.
Right.
Now, where does Finn come from? Are they going to pull the race thing and he's going to be a descendant of Lando?
You know what? There's another side to that coin. Since you said, and I'm pretty sure I'm thinking you might be going in the same direction. There was another black guy in the Star Wars universe that he could possibly.
Did he have a
hail
lightsaber that said "bad motherfucker"?
That might be.
No, actually, what I was gonna say is, I think you're right. I think he is, because I heard somebody who had read this article. So one spoiler that I found out, that Amazon goofed and they listed Finn's action figure, and it was Finn.
Calrissian?
Yep.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So, because if you go to Target and you look at it, it says Finn, and then in parentheses it says Jakku next to it, because that's the
outfit he wore from that planet.
He was in. Yeah. But yeah, so if that was a mistake, I don't know if it was just a racist guy at Amazon who just automatically assumed.
This must be Lando.
One of the only other black guys in the series. Why
Yeah.
not?
I love how Star Wars was like, we always got bashed for not having enough black people and women, so let's just make the two characters a black guy and a woman.
Yeah.
Well, with Kathleen Kennedy as the head of the Lucasfilm under Disney, she still gets to be the CEO. It's definitely on their radar. And then J.J. Abrams is very much into strong female characters, which is why I think we'll see Phasma again later.
Yeah.
Because they hyped it up big. They did an entire article about Kathleen Kennedy, Daisy Ridley, thank you, and Gwendolyn Christie, because of, look at this, and we've got more than just Leia now. We've got all these characters. And they even, I don't know if it was to be an aside or just because she's related to Carrie Fisher, but they brought in Billie Lourd, who's Carrie Fisher's daughter, for that very brief scene. So they were definitely hyping the our women are strong and powerful too thing.
What?
So
I'm not even
I'm trying to
mad
remember
at
what scene that was.
When she grabs the lightsaber.
Yeah.
no, so it's
No.
they're when they're attacking the battle station, and she basically turns around from a screen and says that we've lost so many X-wings. And that was it was that quick. I mean, for 2 seconds on screen.
Yeah, it was
That's
a
right.
blip.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we got our question answered why Mark Hamill wasn't on the poster,
Right.
because he doesn't show up till the last 5 seconds of the movie and doesn't say one damn word.
Which ultimately goes back to us saying that, you know what, he wasn't on the poster because he just pretty much damn wasn't in the movie. You know, I mean, that last 5 seconds didn't really do much for me. I mean, they did that stare down for a good 20 minutes.
That was worth, though. That was powerful. That was the most powerful part of the movie, because
Really?
honestly, Luke's my favorite character.
So you were happy with that?
Yeah, I like Luke Skywalker. He's my favorite Jedi. You know, of all of them, the whole franchise,
all
the
five
whole
of them.
series. I've always liked Luke. Well, I mean,
Over Qui-Gon?
way over Qui-Gon.
Come on. I don't know who you are,
I will find
but I will find you.
But I mean, I've played a lot of the expanded universe too, though. Like even the ones from Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh,
There's
okay.
some badass Sith in there too. But I just love Luke. Even
Yeah.
Jedi Academy, he was my master, the video game. And so seeing him back grizzled with the beard in the white, because there's so much dark in the series, like, you know, that was straight up Obi-Wan stuff right there.
Right.
I'm super excited. I'm more excited for the next one.
I have to give it this because I do agree with Derek on, you can definitely, because we were just talking about that before we came inside, you definitely get the vibe that this is a J.J. Abrams Star Wars film. Mind you, he did do a lot of the homages to where there were scenes in there that felt really in that spirit of Star Wars. But overall, you can tell, and this isn't a bad thing. This isn't a knock at the film itself. It just you're very aware that it is a J.J. Abrams film. But what I did like, and I was outside explaining it with David, what I did really admire and ultimately won me over was the rhythm of the film and how well this one mirrors 4 and how it mirrors 1, as far as that rhythm, that because George Lucas has once said that when he made the films, he had a sense of poetry when he was making it, and honestly, now after I heard it, it was like seems to be the only word that really kind of relates to it, but it's a sense of poetry that he has when you go through part 4, and you have the initial conflict in the beginning, and then you have the search for something, and then you have the low man on the totem pole, and then you have that person being thrust out of poverty into an unknown circumstance that causes them to rise up, and that type of rhythm and that type of wave that he has for part 4, and he did the same thing for part 1, and now J.J. Abrams is taking that upon himself to do that as well with part 7.
I didn't get all that sense of poetry and stuff, but what I did get that I don't think we normally see in Star Wars is a clear, decisive storyline that anybody can pick up, because Elizabeth has seen this series multiple times with me and before me, and and she still asks some weird questions. It's like, well, it's not like they broke down the story to make complete sense. There's a lot of gaps, and because of how the prequels came, it made more questions in some areas. I think you can safely say anyone can off the street watch 7 and have a good starting point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
One of the things I noticed, you and I watched with our friend Sophia for the very first time. She had never seen any of the movies, so we went into my theater and we watched all 6 of them over the course of 3 days or so. And it was her first time seeing them, and it was the first time I realized that 1 through 6 are not meant to be watched 1 through 6. You kind of have to watch 4 through 6 and then 1 through 3, because 1 through 3, Lucas wrote it assuming everyone's already seen it, and there are subtle plays in there. I remember Sophia asking me a question about Palpatine in the first one. She's like, who is this guy and why does he seem all creepy? Well, you would freaking know if you had seen the other ones.
Yeah.
And then I hated that they did that, because it just didn't work the way I thought it should. He wrote the prequel not as a prequel, but as to, here's why we did it on the original trilogy. So we have to explain all of this stuff to make everything match perfectly. I do think, though, that Episode 7... there were a lot of parallels to Episode 4. There was the guy, the reluctant hero, the Han Solo-esque character, which ended up being Finn. I just want to go. I don't want to be anything here. Just want to be away from the Empire, or First Order in this case. You've got the I want to do right, but I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm a new Jedi kind of character out of Rey. Definitely a lot of parallels.
The striking down of the father figure for the main protagonist, which was, obviously in 4 it was Obi-Wan, and then in 7 it's Han Solo.
How did we all react to Han Solo? Okay, again, major spoiler here. Han Solo gets murdered about 3/4 of the way through the movie.
With another spoiler of knowing who Kylo Ren is.
Yeah, his son. Kylo Ren is Han Solo and Leia's son.
Ben Solo.
Ben Solo. Now, was that name used in the past lore? That was one of the twins?
He yelled. No.
I know it was used in
used in the expanded universe as Luke and Mara's son.
Oh, Ben was?
Yeah.
Okay.
They named him Ben.
What were the twins' names in the...
Anakin. No, Anakin was the younger of the group for the Solos. It was Jason and Jaina were the twins.
So use the
name
Ben.
Not really a spoiler anymore because we're about 10 years late to that party, but Jason ends up turning to the dark side and ends up killing Luke's wife, Mara.
Oh, wow.
And Anakin dies in battle.
Those are just legends now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm actually really glad for that, because there was a lot of places that some of those authors went that I did not like.
Yeah.
I thought they went way crazy with it, killing people off.
Here's one thing I thought was going to happen, and I'm very glad it didn't happen. When the Star Killer was destroying all those moons and stuff in all its awesomeness, I thought they were blasting that planet that they were on. And so I thought we were going to have the infamous Chewbacca death scene.
Oh, the bringing the moon down on the...
I thought, they were blowing up the Earth, and so they were going to have to get out, and... Because Chewie, because we also got to talk Rey. Is Rey the sister? Is that confirmed? Can we say the sister of Kylo?
I don't know.
No.
Or is it Luke's daughter?
So.
It's got to be one of the two.
I think it's Luke's daughter.
This is the thing we were talking about, is that I don't think that she's related. I really don't. Because I would have to say that she's a possibility of, the midichlorians being that whole miraculous inception kind of deal.
I don't know. Twins run in the family, first of all.
I think J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy would do very, very well to stay away from midichlorians from now on. Yeah, personally. They definitely left her storyline open to something like that, and they had the very brief flashback of when the guy who was giving her rations early on in the movie had her as a kid and the ship was flying away. Mm-hmm. She kept talking about wanting to get back because she's, I'm guessing, convinced her family's coming back for her. Mm-hmm. So there's definitely some open space there.
Because we don't know who her family is.
Right.
We never saw them.
Right.
Yeah. And they explain, to kind of, I don't know if this is evidence of Luke, but it could. They explained Luke went off to go find, so it very well could parallel how they put Luke and Leia into hiding, just so Luke did the same thing with his daughter into hiding some abandoned planet everyone thinks is a junkyard, so he can go off and do what he needs to do.
Another offshoot, I suppose, theory would be that ship that left her as a very little child, it talked briefly about Luke had his own Jedi Academy and was training up the new generation when one of the Jedi fell and destroyed the whole thing. So it was Anakin's grandson, and he pulled an Anakin and slaughtered everyone, apparently. But it's entirely possible that it was Luke on that ship, and he dropped her off on Jakku so that she'd be safe.
Right.
Yeah. And that could also go to the effect of kind of giving a little bit more gravitas, now that I think about it. Because going back to the expanded universe, as far as with Luke and Mara, there could be a possibility as far as Ben being the one who killed Mara during the course of that, and which is the reason that shot Luke into doing that as far as leaving Rey on that planet on Jakku.
What's confusing to me is why they would name their son Ben. I mean, it seems like Luke would clearly name his son Ben because that was his Master Kenobi. I don't recall the movies Obi-Wan having too close of a relationship with Leia and Han.
Obi-Wan was really close in a few ways with Leia's adoptive father, Bail Organa.
Okay.
So there was definitely a relationship there. Organa was there when Luke and Leia were both born, and obviously Obi-Wan
kept the mother
as well.
safe too. And okay.
Exactly. I'm with you though. I think it is a little strange, and I think that they may have just pulled it from the expanded universe or just thought, hey, that sounds really good, and people will recognize the reference.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was, because Luke does, as of right now, there's no son for Luke. So it's like, okay, they had to use that name. They had to give an homage to Obi-Wan somehow, so they threw it there.
Now, we're talking about things that didn't happen. So I kind of thought the planet was going to explode on itself and that Chewie was going to sacrifice himself to save Finn or Rey, knowing, that they were maybe his kids or something like that. Anything you expected that didn't happen?
I don't think so. I went into it pretty open-minded, accepting of the fact that they pretty much erased everything. So I will say with the Han Solo scene, I had it in the back of my mind that they might do that.
On the bridge?
Yeah. And then when they got to the scene, and I knew as soon as he saw Kylo that he was going to stop and confront him. And from there, it was just like for me, I thought the buildup was just a little too obvious. I think they could have done something else with it and it would have been better. But Harrison Ford's been wanting to die since Empire, so
I was thinking that was the thought. I swear, I kid you not. As he was falling off that bridge into Abyss, I was thinking, "Oh, Harrison Ford got his wish.
Right?
He doesn't have to do another Star Wars.
Have to do it again
because there's always been that thing where he loves the Indiana Jones. He'll do Indiana Jones until the day he dies, but he's never been affectionate towards the Han Solo character as everyone has tried to force on him.
Well, and I think part of that is that with Indiana Jones, it's definitely a fantasy type thing. And it's probably a little more real for someone like him. Although I did see someone, I read an article, someone was saying that maybe he doesn't like Han Solo because he's a lot like Han Solo in real life. Yeah. Can fly, is grumpy, is gruff. All those kinds of things. And so maybe it's not acting really for him. It's just what it is.
Yeah. Chewbacca's little revenge shot was pretty.
Oh,
That was dope.
that was epic.
I don't know if Chewbacca grieved enough. I mean, it feels like
They kind of rushed everything at the ending so that they could get her out to see Luke.
yeah. I
Yeah.
guess that's what it was because Chewbacca pulled a boss move and actually was probably one of the most pivotal moments of the thing because Kylo was badly injured during that whole last fight. So you can kind of see because part of me was like, this dude was trained by Luke. He's mastering the arts and he has all this Force experience, and then this girl is kind of just figuring it out. Like, how the hell did she know how to use the Jedi mind trick, or even what it was? Like,
You could make the argument that that the Force is prodding her, that she's getting that.
Would you say
feeling.
it's awakening?
I think it might be awakening.
Oh my
gosh,
gosh.
he went there.
And I did feel it.
Yeah,
I felt it.
It's calling.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like he was trained so much, and we didn't see enough of her background, how she learned how to fight like that. And then same thing with Finn. He was like kind of very naive to a lot of stuff, but then when he needed to, he was all of a sudden like Rambo. Like he got super accurate, and before he's sweating, can't even make the first shots.
Yeah, they definitely upped the character's knowledge very quickly.
And I mean, we can't also negate the fact that he was a stormtrooper, so there had to be some kind of training.
A janitor stormtrooper.
But still,
I didn't even know that
nonetheless,
existed.
Sanitation
Somebody
doesn't
has
matter.
to run the trash compactors.
He was still on the ground floor when those troops did arrive to try to capture.
Why though? If he was the janitor, why did they decide to pull him on this important mission?
The look on Han's face when he told him that was perfect.
He just
It
knew.
was great.
Sanitation.
The best part of that too was when he was like, "Oh, it's fine. We'll just use the Force." No,
That's not how the
it
Force
doesn't
works.
work that way.
I also love the little part they tacked on right after that, Chewie complaining, and he's like, "Oh, you're cold."
Yeah.
It was great.
Chewbacca was a definite star. C-3PO was classic. I feel like with Leia, though, Carrie Fisher's nuts. Like, she's bizarre. She's bonkers. She's out there. We've all seen her just... And this is like her chance. I don't think I would have been upset if they recasted her. Honestly, I think she kind of took me out of it a little bit.
She isn't who she used to be. I mean, and we can all agree with that. That
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
I think a lot of us have more. I think a lot of us have more experience with her on Family Guy than we do in anything else. But
Yeah.
it's I think I could actually agree with you on that. I could have done with a recasting, or if anything, just her not being in it at all.
Another thing for me is she's since Jedi. I mean, she's been in mostly bit roles from what I've seen. I mean, she was in. She had the small part in the first Austin Powers movie, which was a very big role.
Yeah.
And she had a small part in When Harry Met Sally as Sally's best friend. For me, it's just where she went. I mean, Mark Hamill kind of disappeared too, but he was still prevalent, as the Joker, and he did on the original Wing Commander games. So he still did a bunch of stuff. Carrie Fisher kind of just went away, and I don't think Leia really added a whole lot to the movie.
Yeah.
In the original trilogy, it was a little bit more effective as far as her role, but I think after that.
Well, it feels like the first trilogy, her role was to be the only woman and be hot.
Yeah.
And when that hotness fades away, when Father Time decides to take it from you, and she didn't have
And
that.
a bastard he can be.
And he was a bastard to Carrie Fisher. I'm sorry.
Her and Mark Hamill did not age well, and that is the one thing I did like about Luke at the end of the movie was it looked legit the way he aged, and they had the beard and the longer hair. It totally looked like things had not been easy for him. So I thought they explained that really well. With the original trilogy, I thought that Leia was a great counterpoint to Han's bravado. She just would shoot him down constantly.
Yeah.
And now
So
without
to
him.
that, and so now you're gonna have how's that gonna work, and how's her character gonna develop? I don't know.
I'm curious to know how much she's in the next movies, because part of me thinks that she was in it solely for the original trilogy fans to have the trio back together. Not necessarily back together, but they're in the movie. You see them, and it's like, okay, we've seen them. Now let's move on to the new trio. I mean, Han's dead. Luke just entered the picture, but how much is he going to be actually in it?
If we learned anything about being a Jedi Master, it does not end well for them.
No, it's so.
That's true. I think she'll be involved just because they still have to deal with the Kylo Ren part of it.
True,
And
that's true.
Here's the deal too: if Kylo Ren is all Sithed out, that means Leia's Force sensitive too. But did she never I remember in the comic book, she actually, not the comic books, but in the novel, she actually dives into using the Force.
She started some training, but because she was also running a fleggling government, she didn't train a lot.
So
that's how that works.
I guess we're
Time-consuming
assuming in the
thing.
movies she's just didn't do that at all, or
Assume she's just aware of it, which is
Yeah.
why she knew
Well,
the instant when
exactly.
Harrison
Right.
Ford, Han Solo got killed. She felt it, the disturbance.
There
in
was the
Force.
implication. there.
okay.
Yeah.
In Empire,
I'll buy that.
Luke, like
Oh,
called to
when
her.
she calls to him.
Yeah.
Well, and then even in Return of the Jedi, when she's like, "Oh yeah, I've always felt it. I've known about it, and so
Right.
forth. Yeah, even when I kissed you on whatever, blah blah blah."
It's yeah.
Oh, they're trying to dig that one. They're buried that one in
The backwaters of Alderaan.
I think the part that made the movie for me was that final scene in the forest where Finn tries to defend her against Kylo with that lightsaber battle, and then she wakes up and then pretty much manhandles his ass.
Yeah.
What kind of made the movie for you, Webb? What was the scene that you're like, oh my god, I'm watching Star Wars?
Oh man, there are so many things that it was when it kicked in. I gotta say right off the bat, when you first see when they do the Star Wars Episode 7, I was just like, holy crap, this is happening. And then when you first turn, when they're running past. At the time, you don't know it's the Millennium Falcon, and then she's like, "Oh no, that's just a hunk of junk." And then it's like, "Oh, let's take that," and the camera pans. And I'm just like, "Oh shit, that's." And then, the lightsaber when not
Hey
necessarily
man,
when you first.
he said one. You're
I
about
know,
to take
come on,
all ours
man.
right here.
Sorry, it's a culmination. So go ahead.
No, I'm
There's
just
a
giving
lot.
her a hard time. I think the one scene, and I think actually, had I not have stopped you, would have gotten to this point. I think the one scene that kind of made it for me was the scene that we talked about with Kylo Ren and Han Solo on that bridge. And just after seeing everything else and just seeing how beautiful the cinematography is and how much that was such an eye for detail with Lucas as far as in the first three, and then you see this and you see the scene of just this huge bridge and everything's just so pitch dark and it's just blackness and that one ray of light that's shining through because of Rey opening that door onto the situation area where Harrison Ford, Han Solo, and Kylo Ren are just standing, and the turmoil that's going on because of that scene within Kylo Ren about wanting to be on the good side but also wanting to be on the bad side and just battling with that. I think that kind of typified the entire idea of the movie for me.
Where I'm confused before we get to Derek's is there was a very heavy justification for why Anakin decided to go to the dark side. He was doing it for what he believed and pretty much was the right reasons. He wanted to conquer death so he can save the people he loved.
Mm-hmm.
So that was his internal justification. He got, we got to see that play out. What was his
Kylo's?
reason? Yeah, did they actually
don't
pinpoint
know.
what made him? Because is he just a dick of a kid?
I
I
think
think
that-
he is.
I think honestly that's gonna go to in part 8 to what happened when he was training with Luke. I think that's all going to be explained once we figure out the circumstance as to why he destroyed whatever Luke was doing and that kind of downfall, that whole area. I think once we figure that out, it's honestly going to have to do with family, and it's going to have to do.
You see some serious conflict in his face when he's standing there with Han, and you can see that you know what he's gonna do. You know that's what he needs to do for him, for his character development and all that. That's what the Supreme Leader wants him to do. But there is severe conflict within him, which there was for Anakin as well, which we find out later.
So what's the reason? Why
I
would
honestly
Kylo switch?
I think the Supreme Leader did something with him. It convinced him to do something.
Did he touch him in his no place?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. In the deep, dark force spot, he touched him badly.
Yeah.
That was the real awakening.
Right.
My force just got awakened. Awoken.
Real quick, just to kind of speak on what Derek was saying, that scene where you see that conflict. I was talking to Eddie about this. I really liked the way that they showed that in the lighting. I mean, you had clearly the white light coming in on half of his face and the red light coming in on the other half. You could see the conflict, and then you could see as soon as the sun goes out and the white light disappears and it's all red, you could see the switch, and that's when he makes his move. And I thought that was really cool how they kind of...
Very symbolic.
Very symbolic, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, what about for you? What was as the biggest fan that I know, what was what made this not just another movie?
The X-Wings.
The X-Wings.
It's kind of twofold, but it's mainly for me the X-Wings. The scenes, the first when they come rolling across the water and they just start tearing crap apart is fantastic. Also, when they come in to try and destroy the battle station, they're all over the place. It's awesome. The other thing that really made it for me, not just as a Star Wars movie, but as a fantastic sci-fi movie and just a fantastically believable movie, is the massive scale. Now, I saw it in 3D also, which I was kind of leery over because 3D is not all that great.
Right.
They did a really good job, and the biggest thing for me was the sense of scale that you got. There's a scene early on where it switches from you're on a planet to you're in space, and there's the Star Destroyer like right in your face, and it was like right in my face. It was so freaking big, and everything looked so good. The vehicles, the locations, no freaking green screen. I can't stress enough that was so good for me personally to get away from George Lucas and his just ridiculous love of all things technology.
To see the updates in like the shots that they did, I noticed this even in the trailer when in that very first trailer where you're following the Millennium Falcon and it kind of makes that that twist move and you're watching it go along the ground. I was like, that's so cool. That's like, oh, that's what we needed. They updated it in all the right ways.
I love the fact too that you've got, they're ducking under the fuselage of the X-wing, and there's an X-wing right there. I mean, they had a whole field out in London where they were filming this, where they had just several X-wings fully built and fully just sitting there. They had the Millennium Falcon was built, which someone didn't do a good enough job with the door since it broke Harrison Ford's ankle.
Oh, is that what broke his ankle?
It dropped on him. One of the doors did.
Oh my gosh. One will last like sayonara.
Right. Oh, yeah. But I
you
love.
Want to die? We're gonna take a little bit with us.
I love that they had those as real things right there, and there was a lot of detail put in them. And even BB-8 was fully functional, fully practical effect.
Yeah.
Now, Star Wars fans and Star Wars games and extended universes love to take advantage of little tiny minuscule things we may not have even noticed the first time you watch it. Like those creatures, the squid-looking guys that they were transporting. I can't remember the name. Do you guys remember it?
Rompters or the
Yeah, it was
Raptor?
Ractors or something.
Now, have we seen those in the universe before? Is this going to be the new Rancor? Is this going to be the awesome boss battle in a lot of the games?
I think that just might have been like a one-off kind of deal. I don't think we're going to
in the movies probably, but I think in the games, I think you have the potential to see it because it's there.
It didn't have that effect to me as a Rancor because because they didn't show many Rancors in the series either. Wasn't it just the one, right?
Just the one.
And that's like an iconic creature. Like people mount the head on their walls, and it's just badass. The banthas and stuff. Like anything else you guys noticed that you haven't seen before?
A lot of different alien types.
Yeah.
I also again going back to the parallels to A New Hope, there was the cantina scene.
Yeah.
The music has changed.
Right.
I was really hoping for.
Well, I mean, 30 years in
Middle Eastern like.
It was Middle Eastern, some jazzy and gritty. Like
Right.
It was really good. I like.
It was
that
like
cantina
almost like
scene.
It's better than the
Jamaican
name of the last music though.
What was the last one?
Jizz music.
Oh,
So it's a little better.
Wow.
That's what I'm gonna do every time now. Oh yeah.
What?
That wasn't bad.
It wasn't as iconic though. Like I can't
No.
actually put the song in my head.
No.
Like when you heard that original Cantina song, it was.
But
just
then again,
there.
too, we've also seen those films over and over and over again. I'm pretty sure the first time we heard it, it took us a bit to kind of remember the song. So I think after we go back and revisit the film and then revisit it again, it'll start sticking.
It feels like in the old ones, you really notice the music because it's still composed by John Williams.
John Williams.
But it didn't stick out as much. There's a few parts where I noticed I was like, oh, there's music there, but it wasn't like that. Even in 3, that last battle, like that song took off. Like that's probably
Duel of the Fates.
Duel of the Fates. See, that's why we know the name.
One of it's the single for me. The single best thing to come out of the prequel trilogy was Duel of the Fates. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I didn't
Incredible.
get that moment. Like I couldn't even tell you anything what the music was in that last battle. I could tell you it was an awesome fight scene and stuff, but I can't tie it back to a song.
And I totally agree with you now that I think about it, now that I'm reflecting back on it, now that I have a chance. Because even in part 4, when Luke goes to the edge of where his whole home, whatever that was, and looks out over the ridge and he sees the two suns, and that music swell just kind of brings in the whole idea of it, and you feel it. I don't really
had too
recall
many of those moments.
No, we didn't.
Which that could be an effect of J.J. Abrams.
Right.
Abrams.
Just him directing, telling John, not John Williams, but their sound people that it's a more subtle thing. And there were some scenes, and it really worked for dramatic effect, but there were some scenes where there's no music whatsoever.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a lot of that in the original trilogy.
And I think that when they did have music, I like the way they used it. Like one that really stood out to me was when after the final battle, and you have Rey coming out last out of the Falcon, and everybody's already celebrating and stuff, and then it's just her and Leia, and they play the Han and Leia love song, and I thought that was a really good use of that song because it was kind of like bringing kind of closure to that. So I thought that was really cool how they did that.
So Jar Jar Abrams gets a pass from you guys?
Oh my gosh.
Now he doesn't. He did.
No, I think he did a fantastic job,
Yeah.
all things considered. And
Have
he
you guys all
had-
seen the Trek movies?
Yes.
He did all the Trek movies, didn't
Yeah.
Well, except for this most recent
The
one
most
that's about to
recent.
come out.
he? Okay.
That one was done
is
by
he
Justin
officially
Lin.
switched ships?
He did. Yeah.
So he's not doing no more
Well,
Trek?
he's always been a Star Wars geek. I mean, if you've seen in depth the first 2 Star Trek films, he's actually put R2-D2 in the films. There are certain shots in the films where he's actually in. Very minuscule, very quick, but
That was one of the things too that he mentioned when he started doing the original Star Trek that he did, was that he's a Star Wars fan doing a Star Trek movie.
Wow.
You look at the difference though between the series of Star Trek or the older movies, and they're a lot more procedural and exploratory and scientific, and his 2 movies were very action oriented, character development, which is very much more Star Wars. So his style and lots of lens flares there.
Yeah,
Plenty to go around.
whole scene.
There's so many suns I can do these flares with.
Exactly.
That's why he really wanted to do
I'm used to
Tatooine.
movies with
There
just
you
one
go.
sun. Now I have all these suns.
I am surprised, I have to say, that with a Death Star upgrade that shoots 5 or 6 laser beams, that there's no lens flares
I was
from
expecting
laser
a
beams.
huge lens flare, as like that scene where you see Kylo Ren up against the window and you see it. I was expecting like
big old lens flare just.
yeah. JJ off to the side of the camera with a flashlight doing his lens flare thing.
Oh yeah.
Do you feel like there's a us versus them type of deal? Because we're the OG, right? We grew up with the old trilogy, and then we had the prequels, which are some people's, like, that was their childhood.
Yeah.
And then now we have this new series, so it's kind of like a changing of the guard, I feel like. Like, when I see BB-8, I don't got that. I didn't get, like, feelings or emotions for that droid. It could have blew up at the end, and I would have been like, oh, well, that's what happens.
I think because
that's fine.
just to address that, I think because of the fact that we're used to R2-D2, and we're kind of used to that whole cynical type little robot,
Well, because R2 has been in it for all 6 movies.
all 6 movies.
And then
R2's a badass. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
BB-8 also didn't have anyone else to really play off of, whereas R2 had C-3PO. It was a very Abbott and Costello type thing. You've got the straight man, and you've got the one that makes the jokes. And R2-D2, we don't even get to know what the joke is technically, but C-3PO is there to say enough that we totally get it. Whereas, Rey totally understands what he's saying. I do think it was funny that Finn was like, "You understand that?"
Yeah.
that was like, okay, thank you for a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Where he's like bargaining with him, please, I don't understand what you're saying, but please just don't tell her that I was a stormtrooper.
And they both give the thumbs
little
up.
lighter with a thumbs up. That was cool.
It was great. It had a lot of moments like that for me, and I think that maybe for you what it was is that he didn't have someone like C-3PO to bounce off of as much, and so it wasn't as prominent.
And whenever like R2-D2 at the end does finally go out of low power mode, I'm like, now watch out, BB-8, you're about to get sunned. All right, because this guy could shoot a fire out and then oil everyone and then catch them on fire and then unlock the terminal and save everybody.
And then forget how to do that later.
Yeah.
For 3 whole movies.
It's a different time, man.
But I think, though, answering your question about as far as us versus them, I think we're in a unique kind of generation for ourselves, that we have the footing in the past and we have the footing in the now and future. As far as both ends, we've experienced the original trilogy and all its rehashings and revitalizations and everything, and then the new trilogy, and I think because we've had that experience and we've been able to just have those times where, like, you guys have been able to view them in the theater and see them over and over and over again, and I think that separates us from most other, like, us versus them. Like, I see us versus them as like our parents, as the them.
You just kind of sparked something, because we had the original trilogy we know and love, but even when we had the prequels, is the same characters were the stars. So it's still that, and now for the first time we're getting new heroes, and they took one from us. Kylo Ren took Han Solo, who was many people's favorite characters. Now I just want to see Luke come back and just dominate everyone. I just want to see the next movie be Taken, starring Luke, and he's just gonna go to all these people and just chop their heads off.
That's what I'm thinking. It would have been cool at the end scene where you have Rey and Luke having that 30-minute stare down, and I kept waiting for Luke to like force grab the lightsaber, flip it on, and then credits.
I had that same thought when he was fighting for the lightsaber in the forest. Is that what you're talking about?
No. At the very end between Rey and Luke, I was expecting Luke to,
when she's holding it off,
to grab it and then flip it on, and I think then credits, that would have been epic, because it's like, oh hell yeah, Luke is back.
Yeah, I was really thinking, like, when he was trying to pull the lightsaber and it wouldn't go to him, I was like, okay, she's probably not powerful enough to fight him like that. She doesn't know, she's not trained. So I thought it was going to go past her, past him, past her, and then Luke was going to grab it, and then we were going to have a showdown where either Luke was going to fall or stalemate and they'd both break away.
Yeah,
that was my hope.
That would have been cool.
I just don't see the justification how she was untrained and was able to put up such a good fight against this guy.
Apparently, that is how the Force works.
Yeah. She's heard the mythologies about these aren't the droids you're looking for, and just started saying it over and over and over.
I think that was a little forced. No pun intended.
The Force was forced.
But I don't know. They developed it naturally. It was, at first you could see her face when she's unintentionally fighting Kylo Ren, when he's trying to do the mind read thing. You see her face kind of at first like expecting pain, and then realizing, wait a minute, the thing is happening, and then like, oh shit, I could do this too. And then throughout the time, like, you see her when she's trying to do like the mind control thing on the stormtrooper, and she's like, shit, okay, let's try this again. And she keeps trying it. It's not like all of a sudden she's just like, yo, hey, unlock these, and he does it. It's like a developmental thing. Faster than any other person.
I'd hate to kind of beat a dead horse as far as going back to this, but going back to Rey and where she came from, as far as, or is not where she came from, but who she is, or whose daughter she is, that kind of goes along the lines as far as when she touched the lightsaber and when all these visions and everything came to her mind. No normal Jedi that I've known of or that I've read about has ever had an experience where they've touched an inanimate object and has had an instance where they've had those type of visions.
And to go off of that, we have that line from, I think it rooted from the teaser, "The Force is strong in my family." You know, my father had it, I have it, my sister has it. And so it kind of leaves it to, it's, you know, you have Anakin as, you know, let's say she is Luke's daughter. You have Anakin as her grandfather, powerful Jedi. You have Luke as her dad, a powerful Jedi. And then you have her. It kind of would make sense that she would have this great power, and she's, you know, becoming aware of it.
When Kylo was staring at the old mask and talking about how I want to become as powerful as you and finish what you started, I mean, maybe that could be part of the psyche as to why he went dark side, but I feel like someone just needs to tell him, like, hey, Darth Vader turned good at the end, man.
Yeah.
You're on the wrong side.
He died a good guy.
Yeah, he died a good guy. He took out Palpatine. Now, we're running kind of out of time. I want to talk about Snoke. Snoke? What was his name? Snoke. Snoke. Is he a giant? Snake? Or because that ended up being just a hologram.
Yeah.
Which I didn't think was coming. I was like, oh, shit, he's going down with the ship. But he was just a hologram. Is he really that massive?
I was laughing because I turned to the guy that was sitting with us next to us, Chad, and I'm like, dude, I bet he's like only like 3 inches tall.
Yeah. Never mind the man behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that what they had promised in a way was that he is definitely going to be different than what we're used to. So I think it is a possibility that he's going to be somewhat large. But then you look at Empire, and they're chasing Han and Leia into the asteroid field. They pull Vader's ship out of the asteroid field so he can talk to the Emperor. He bows down, and it's a giant hologram of the Emperor. So it's entirely possible that he's normal-ish size.
Yeah.
So this guy's been around. Was he over the Emperor?
Well, as far as I know,
that's the theory that goes around, that he's actually Darth Plagueis, which Darth Plagueis was Darth Sidious's master.
And what do we know about him from the original ones? Was he the one that conquered death, or?
Yeah, he was the one that conquered death, and according to the story he told Anakin in, I think it was Attack of the Clones, he said that he conquered death, but then his apprentice killed him, and then how ironic that he's now dead.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but
which kind of, I mean, if you look at if you looked at him closely, and because I had that in mind when I was seeing him, if you look closely, Snoke has a large scar right down the center of his head that kind of causes his head to cave in a bit on one side. And I'm thinking that if he was struck or made to seem like he took a large, heavy wound, because the theory goes, and this is the theory that's going around, that Plagueis, one of the most powerful Siths in the entire universe, could have had the ability to have Darth Sidious think he struck down Plagueis, sat behind the scenes to allow Sidious to just build and build and build what he was waiting to he was waiting for, you know, as far as the army, as far as the strength of the Empire and so forth.
Which is pretty badass. That whole Nazi scene where there's just countless.
Oh man, it's crazy.
That guy, the guy who's
the
commander that opposed to Kylo, pretty badass.
They both seemed like they were just two. For me, it just seemed like those were just two kids going at it. Like, oh well, you know, he couldn't do it right, so we're gonna do it like this.
I think they were trying maybe to establish like a Vader Tarkin kind of relationship.
But Vader was definitely, I mean, Tarkin wasn't shit to Vader.
No, but Tarkin was still over Vader.
Yeah. And
Vader actually, would listen to him. So when he, tells him, release him, he says, as you wish.
As you wish.
That's right.
So not that, and there were definitely more on the even, but this guy was definitely convinced that, Snoke isn't going to dig this, man, if you keep going off and trying to get this.
He's kind of right in a lot of the ways.
Yeah.
I think if I was Snoke, I would have been listening to the commander guy. Do we know his name? Or rank even?
Nux or Lux or something.
Hux.
Yeah, that's it.
What do we think of Kylo Ren as
general
as the main bad guy? Like,
I think overall he was pretty good. I mean, I feel like the whole new wave of characters is just kind of green. Like, I didn't get I feel like he wasn't established enough. Like, he's young in the Force himself.
Right.
Oh, very much.
Yeah.
Just the fact that he was able to kind of get beat by a rookie
it just shows how inexperienced he really was as far as, because right now he's the only person who knows about the Force out of everybody that was around. So ultimately, he can throw his weight around with just like a little bit of knowledge and just say, well, you know what, this is how I get stuff done, which is why he uses the same tactics that he used with Poe in the beginning with Rey.
Well, his training is clearly incomplete. I mean, you could tell that from the very beginning.
They reference that at the end,
and then they
too.
reference at the end. It's time for him to complete his training. For me, he frightened me more than Vader ever did, and I think Kylo.
Really?
And not frightened. I mean, I wasn't scared of him, but between the two, Kylo was definitely a more scary guy. I think it was because Vader kind of had more control, and Kylo was just like
he threw
Kylo was more,
tantrums.
he was more emotional.
Massive tantrums.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like no joke.
What did that computer ever do to him?
Exactly.
My favorite was the scene where he's throwing a tantrum because Rey escapes. You have the two stormtroopers come in and they go,
Like,
nope, nope.
And then
Turn around. Yep, that was great.
I like how Han was started taking Chewie's crossbow too.
Yeah.
It's like they've been together for how many years and he never thought to use his crossbow.
Yeah. You never saw how much damage it did? Like,
He's like, wow, I kind of like this. Give me that.
too bad he won't be using it in the future.
wah, wah, wah,
Bwah,
wah.
bwah, bwah, bwah.
So the life debt has been paid.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Does it move automatically? How does Wookiee life pacts work?
Once it's done, he can go back to his family.
So is he just there on his own free
Initially.
will now?
In my mind, isn't that how it goes? He goes because he has a wife and kids.
Again,
Yeah.
If you go with the expanded
If
Yeah,
you go with
that's-
the expanded
Yeah,
universe.
we can't go with the
That's
extended
the
universe, though. He's a
critical
young
part
Wookiee,
of
right?
all of this.
Because Wookiees live to be hundreds and hundreds of
Yeah.
years. He's a young one, I think. He's not even like middle-aged yet.
Yeah, just about. Because I mean, he was in the original. Yeah, he's still young.
Yeah, he looked identical, not a gray hair on his face. I want to see him go to Kashyyyk again. What's on the wish list? Again, we're running a little bit out of time. What's on your wish list for the next movie? David Webb, go.
Oh, I want to see more Luke. I want to see Rey's story become more developed. I want to see kind of where she's going. Where are they going with this character? Is she like what Eddie was saying? Is she just this rogue new character being thrusted in, or is she related to somebody from the previous movies?
Yeah.
Eddie, what do you hope to see from the next movie?
Along those same lines, a little bit more fleshed out backstory on Rey. A little bit more information as to what caused Kylo to jump into this kind of what really was the feather that broke the camel's back, so to speak. And ultimately, overall, just to see the consistency of the films, keep going on from 7, keeping that same caliber and everything from 7 to 8 and so forth. Not kind of like, well, that was all right, but we could save a little bit here. Let's try go back to green screen and kind of things like that.
So no one said romance between Rey and Finn yet.
Oh my gosh,
Are we ready for a mixed race couple in our Star Wars?
I don't know.
Where's Aaron to weigh in?
Her and Chewie got on that ship pretty chummy. I don't know.
Oh no!
Wow.
No.
What did Han Solo say? He's like, well, I don't know. Chewie kind of likes you, so he didn't say in what way.
I really hope he meant it in the platonic.
Hey,
You made this go really weird.
hey, just saying.
Derek, what do you hope to see from the future of the Star Wars series?
Basically character development. The characters that we had on this one were all kind of thrust in, and it was a lot to take in at once. And the movie's only 2 hours and 16 minutes long. I mean, it's kind of short. A New Hope was roughly about the same, and the other ones were a little bit longer. So I'm hoping that there's more character development for sure, that we get to find out more about the people and get to maybe care about them a little more. And then just for the sheer what I love, more X-wings, more dogfights. I want to see
the Rogue Squadron movie.
Well, and that's the other thing is, like, I may be more excited for Rogue One than I am for Episode 8.
Really?
So, well,
oh yeah, 'cause
Rogue
they're
One.
making a full Rogue One movie. Are they
Rogue
gonna
One is
feature these
coming out.
characters?
Rogue One is coming out next year around December, so they're going to do the alternating years, and it's going to focus on I believe the Rebellion era stuff, and it's from what I've heard of it so far, it's going to be more like a gritty military style movie. So think Black Hawk Down versus, you know, a Phantom Menace.
Wow.
So I'm
should be
really
good.
looking forward to something like that.
Yeah.
The members that they were building into that air squad, we had Matt Parkman from Heroes
Yeah. Why didn't he just
taking
he could
over
read
as
his
the
mind.
fat pilot, because there's always one fat pilot in the group.
They didn't
really
kill him this
was.
time, though.
I know.
Yeah.
He didn't even die.
And his name was not Porkins.
We don't know his last name, do we?
Oh, they didn't
don't.
say his
Matt
last name.
Porkman's might be it. And then the little Asian dude who was in the X-Men 3 movie
Yeah.
was in there. That was kind of a surprise for me. I don't know. You always just popped up. Surprised on who pops up in these movies.
Mm-hmm.
I also thought that bringing Nien Num back was a little, like, not, like, it was, like, pointless to me.
How did they age? So that was him?
It was him. If you look in the credits as it rolls, that's him, and he's the only Celestin that I saw there. So I assumed that that's who that was, and I just thought it was a little like, really?
Well, because that was still Akbar too.
Right.
Yeah.
That was Akbar, and
Which is like another one that's like not really referenced well.
Mm-mm.
yeah. Did Mon Mothma die?
We don't know.
We don't know, because she definitely wasn't in this.
Yeah,
but
she wasn't.
is the actress still alive?
Mm.
That's another one they could recast.
Well,
There you
they had one to, you know, for looks basically for the prequel trilogy, so they could definitely go back to that one if they had to.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's not too much else to say. Besides that romance, we can get that romance scene between Finn and Rey.
Ray.
Chewie and Ray.
What do you want to see, Corey? What's on your wish list?
Yeah.
I want to see Yoda's and
Yoda's.
Boba Fett's. No, I was pretty disappointed. There was no badass like separate character. Like, I mean, I loved Luke; he's my favorite Jedi and everything.
Right.
But Boba Fett was just so cool.
Right.
You really wanted the Phasma.
I wanted
be
Phasma
good.
to fill that Mandalorian.
And technically,
vibe.
we don't really get into the badassery of Boba Fett until Empire.
Mhm.
So, I mean, we still got one more
Then
movie.
he goes, "Wow!" and goes into the Sarlacc pit.
Right.
That's in Return of the Jedi.
That's
That
Which-
was
Jedi.
a disappointment.
Again, if you believe the expanded universe, he climbs
Yeah,
right
he
back
actually
out
makes it
of.
out.
So they're alternating movies. There's talk of a young Han Solo movie, a Yoda Origins type movie. And this is just the beginning, people. This is the first drips into this giant ocean that we're going to get of just Star Wars shit. So right now it's all cool, but I have a feeling we're going to be sick of it in about 5 years.
You think it's
my
gonna be
gosh.
like Marvel?
It's going to be exactly like Marvel. We're
Yeah.
going to get the Rogue Squadron Netflix series,
Oh, heck no.
which might not be a bad thing, actually, because
Yeah, it
Netflix
might.
series are pretty sick.
Yeah.
It really, I think, depends on your point of view on Marvel. Like for me, I'm still not tired of the Marvel stuff. So as long as they keep doing it well,
Right.
Because like,
Yeah.
people kind of slammed Age of Ultron. I didn't think it was that bad. I kind of liked it, but if you like it and it keeps going and they're doing it well, is the key thing for me.
And they definitely got off on the right foot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we want to thank you guys for checking out the podcast, this very special episode where we spoiled all things Star Wars. Is there anything we forgot to spoil for the people?
Let's see, Kylo Ren is Han Solo's son.
If you didn't watch the movie and you're just listening to
Solo
this,
just
want to fuck with your
died.
friends, that's first of all, that's messed up.
There you go.
Yeah.
Second of all, yeah, Kylo Ren is Han Solo's son, and
Han Solo died.
And
Han
Ray
Solo's
Ray
dead.
is the Jedi-ish character. I actually thought it was gonna be Finn.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was wielding the
Yeah,
There's
lightsaber
definitely
and all
in
that.
the trailers.
some misdirection there.
Yeah.
yeah, Rey is definitely a badass character who I can't wait to see. I hope they do give her like a gimmick now. I hope they don't just give her the one single lightsaber. I hope she wields a dual-ended one like Bastila, because I kind of got that. If you guys played Knights of the Old Republic, Bastila was the female Jedi who trains you, and she's really awesome. She has the yellow double-sided lightsaber, and she was sick. And I was kind of getting that vibe from her.
With
So-
her staff.
yeah, because how she had the staff maybe and the hair. So I really hope they give her something like that. Kylo's probably going to come back stronger. More Jedi and Sith. Let's
Yeah.
go back to the Old Republic where everybody got powers.
Everybody,
I might be asking
when
too
everybody has powers, nobody does.
much. True. All right. Thank you, everyone, for checking out the podcast this week. If you want to see more Video Game Bang, subscribe at iTunes or SoundCloud. Those are the two main ones. And then not only do that, it really helps if you give us a subscribe and a rating. Those are big for us. We will be back this weekend with the live Christmas episode. You do not want to miss that on Twitch TV. For Derek Voss, Eddie Villanueva, The Real David Webb, I'm Corey Vincent. And stay frosty.
Stay frosty.
Use the
May the
force.
force be with
May
you.
That's the one.
And also with you.
God bless you.